Is live. Hey, Francine. Thanks for joining me if you're still here. Um, wow, you guys, did you see my community post? Let me start with my disclaimer. Everything I say is simply my opinion, simply for the sake of conversation, hoping to open up a discussion and learn something. And I always aim for my videos to be educational. Every video I make so far has been for YouTube explicitly, and YouTube is an entertainment platform. So here we are. It's Friday, TGIF. It's the last day of March. And yeah, it can be rough, falling behind on your sleep during the week. So it's always good to have the weekend to get caught up. So I put up a community post, you guys, last night. I couldn't believe what I came across in the freaking regular mainstream news. This Joanne Marion, how do you say her name? Segure. So she is the executive police. She's a police union executive in San Jose, California. So she has been charged with trafficking fentanyl and other substances. And I want to say she got like 61 shipments to her house. She was using her office for distribution. You guys, it's crazy, isn't it? What do you want to bet that the police union executive has connections in Nevada County and Placer County? It's some crazy stuff. So I did see that a couple of people had commented on my post from late last night, and one of them said, does she realize the people that she'll be put in jail with? Yeah, they don't like that type. Good morning from Vegas, Van Life Adventures and Open Mind Perspective. I bet it's hot in Vegas, huh? I am not surprised, Francine says. I know, it's really sad. So I've kind of had this theme lately, branching off a little bit from our Idaho 4 and our Keily Rodni and pulling in the Garrett Phillips case and the Kendrick Johnson case. And I want to continue with that. I am, the steady theme, the common denominator is the obstruction of justice by officials, by law enforcement officials. So it's damning evidence. There's damning evidence in the Kendrick Johnson case. There's damning evidence in the Garrett Phillips case. Both of these cases are, Kendrick is a 10-year-old case. Garrett is 12 years old, the case, and him when it happened. But I don't think that these people would be able to get away with it to the extent that they got away with it 10 and 12 years ago because of advances in technology. So the people that are involved in the Keily Rodni situation and this Idaho 4 situation, hey, Larissa, we know there's all kinds of shenanigans. There's no freaking doubt about it. These people have been getting away with this type of thing for so long, and they are not willing to give it up. It's probably not just that they're unwilling to give it up, it's that they don't know how. They have bad habits, they're unethical, and they're basically slobs as far as their careers go. So you can't just all of a sudden pull yourself out of that, can you? I don't know. It's beautiful. It's the best months. Oh, cool. The bad months in between June and September. Yeah, I've been there once or twice, and it was bad. It was like 110, 115. And that was when I was young and I liked it hot, but it was even too hot for me. Too hot to handle. Larissa, it's always nice to see you, girl. I caught your last, I think it was your last one from yesterday. I was so tired last night. It was really hard for me to focus, and I was trying to get caught up on all these cases that I like to stay up to speed with. Subconscious Mouth just dropped a new one. Crime Circus just dropped a new one this morning that I haven't caught yet. So Emery Against Evil and Susan D.A. Sherry Urban. Hello, Jazz, catching alive today. Rachel Smith, good morning. Have you gone over the list of Brady violators in Idaho? I've gone over it somewhat. Yeah, the Brady Giglio, or I like to say Gigolo. Have you heard of Sean Dougherty? Yes, I have. His case was also obstruction of justice, horrible case. I will look into that. I have not. I've heard of him, and I know little, very, very little about the case. I'll look into it. My live was yesterday. Yes, Larissa. So last night I caught your 7-minute live that you were having the technical difficulty on, and then I tried to watch. I think I caught it after you did it. So yeah, it was already finished, I think. And I caught it like right after you did it. And then I caught the new one that you were on. And like I said, it's all a blur. I was just like kind of falling asleep. I apologize. But it's nice to see that you're back. So I know I commented on the 7-minute video and said, yay, you're back. I think I commented on the other one too. So I hope that went well. I know it can be a rough ride sometimes. I try to be really consistent because I just do best with consistency. Thank you for supporting. I appreciate you more than words. Oh, you too, girl. Back at you. So yeah, it's just so awesome. The Kylie's Army is so awesome. And then this new channel, what does she call herself? Army for Justice or something like that? The one that's all Kylie. Anyway, like I said, it's hard to keep up. So I try to stay up to speed with the channels that are kind of my mainstay. Army for Jesus. Thank you, Larissa. So that's a really cool new channel, you guys. And I got to get caught up on all of her stuff too. Really cool. Really, really cool. So I wanted to talk about the Garrett Phillips case real quick because I first mentioned it the day before yesterday, and I hadn't reviewed the case in a long time. And I was speaking of the young man, the kid, being 12 years old. And then immediately when I was done, I Googled it to make sure I had my facts straight. I always do that. I watch my video as soon after I make it as possible and Google everything. So I'm like fact checking, if it's live and I'm shooting from the hip and I didn't know I was going to talk about that. So then I can make corrections in the comments, or like with the Garrett Phillips one, I had said he was 12 twice. And then when I Googled him, everywhere I looked, it said he was 10. I was like, how did I think he was 12? So I went through my video, and it's so painstaking to, edit out a second here and a second there, but I did it. It probably took me 2 or 3 hours. And come to find out, when I watched the documentary, when I rewatched it last night, he is 12. Okay. So I wasn't hallucinating, because I was like, how did I get 12 if he's 10? So the internet says that he's 10 in the few places that I had seen. And it's an issue that I want to address because it happens to all of us all the time. There's the misinformation and there's the disinformation. So it could be just a simple error, and it could be that somebody's trying to make it look even more heinous. I mean, it really doesn't get any more heinous than what happened to him and what continues to happen with the lack of justice. So he was 12, and he was a young 12. I'm going to say he probably just turned 12 because he looked really immature. You know how 12 is kind of that age where you can look like a kid or you can look like a young adult, like a teenager. So he was very childish. He's very kid-ish. He was in 6th grade. It happened at about 5 o'clock at night, 10 minutes of 5. I think it was October 24th, 2011, if I'm remembering right. And the DA tried to prosecute his mother's ex-boyfriend. And I think it looks very apparent that the DA was in cahoots with the mother's other ex-boyfriend, who's the deputy sheriff and still is the deputy sheriff, you guys. He's so scary. So he's in this documentary and he freaking gives himself away from jump. He's talking about the death of a young child, of his ex-girlfriend, and he's gloating and smiling and he's all proud of himself. And in my humble opinion, it couldn't be more obvious. And then when you look at all the facts, and it's such an uncomfortable documentary to watch because Nick Hillary came so close to basically life in prison, most likely. I don't know that they have the death penalty there, but if they do, he probably would have gotten it. He barely got out of that situation by the skin of his teeth, and I'm not going to spoil it, but there was like a surprise witness at the very end that saved his hiney. And so the trials probably wrapped up in about 2015, 2016. And here we are 7 years later, and there's no other suspects, technically. I mean, it's obvious to anybody watching the documentary, it's obvious to the people that made the documentary that there is another suspect, and that, this poor mom and her whole family lost their beloved Garrett child and are probably scared to death. They're from this town of Potsdam. They've lived there for a long time. The mom grew up there and the deputy sheriff grew up there. So it's that whole small town thing. And then to top it off, the new boyfriend, Nicholas Hillary, was African American. So it's not the Deep South, but it's very racist like the Deep South. And long of it short is that we've got these corrupt government officials. The DA did lose her, she got disbarred. She lost her license to practice law in that state because she was so unprofessional with this case. So unprofessional. But it is very similar in the time frame to the Kendrick Johnson case that was 2013. And, that was also a young boy. He was, I think, 17. He was a sophomore in high school. So kind of an older sophomore, maybe 16, but I think 17. Anyway, that case has law enforcement corruption as well. And so many people want to come out on the streets of YouTube and say, oh, there's no such thing as corruption. That's just a bunch of conspiracy theorists. Like, get real. Watch these shows. And, you can apply it directly to our case in Truckee. You can apply it directly to Moscow. It's gonna keep happening, you guys, if people don't shine light on it. So let's get those thumbs up. Yes, please hit that thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe if you'd be so kind. Finally, 3 weeks later, guess what? I was thinking about you in Army for Jesus. So Caleb Lee, I am so sorry. I don't know how you got blocked. There were a few, and I don't really want to focus on the trolls, but I try to use it as a good jumping off point to get into some good issues. I think I was getting hacked yesterday in my live with, I've never seen it go so nuts with the chat. It was just like spazzing out. I've never seen it like that. Perhaps is just a technical glitch, right? Perhaps they're doing an upgrade. But it seems to happen when you talk about certain things, right? And I was wondering about yours too, Larissa, your technical difficulties yesterday. So a few of my regulars had gotten blocked, and I didn't know that there was a way you could go to your list of blocked viewers and see who they are and unblock them. So thank you so much, Crime and Crochet, my hyper focus, for teaching me how to do that in an email. And yeah, it's a thing, these trolls, and sometimes we can thank them because they are shining a light on themselves. All of these corrupt law enforcement people, all of these corrupt individuals that aren't law enforcement that are committing crimes, these people tell on themselves all the flippin' time. And I'm convinced that some of these trolls that I've had over the last couple of weeks are connected to law enforcement in Moscow. And of course, somebody can say, oh, you're crazy, right? Whatever. Talk to the hand because the face don't care. So I apologize, Caleb. Let me just apologize and thank you for your patience for that. And if you know anybody who is a regular who's been blocked, I looked over the list and I didn't recognize any other names. You know, the ones that shouldn't have been blocked, I unblocked them. There was probably half a dozen. So it could have been one of my mods, or it could have been the hackers. I don't know. I heard another body was found in Truckee. The one in Truckee or the one in Reno, the 18-year-old girl who was shot in the head? Is that what you're talking about, Larissa? And where was one magazine in Hudson Lindo died in January. Every other magazine said he passed in May. I was confused about it for a while. Wow. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. That kind of thing. It's crazy, isn't it? And it makes you crazy. Like I felt like an idiot for thinking that Garrett Phillips was 12 when it said he was 10. I was like, where in the world did I get 12? Maybe because it was about 12 years ago. But then after I fixed it, then I come to find out in rewatching the documentary that's a 2-part HBO special that is so good, you guys. Like I said, painful to watch, but so riveting. So watching that last night and seeing that, you know, throughout the entire thing, they said he was 12. So he was 12 when it happened, and that was about 12 years ago. So he'd be 24 now. I think he was the oldest of his mother, Tandy's children. And it's just so sad. And she's convinced that it was her boyfriend. Nick Hillary was her boyfriend at the time. And she had been living with the deputy, John Jones, when she connected with Nick Hillary. And Nick Hillary was living with his, I think, common law wife, and they had 5 kids together. And then when him and Jessica Tandy, was Jessica Tandy, or no, her first name is Tandy. I forget her last name. It's different than Garrett Phillips, the son. But anyway, when Tandy met Nick Hillary, she was living with Deputy John Jones, and she moved out. Nick moved out from his family's home, and they moved in together, and they lived together for about a year. And then there was a ton of stalking and harassment, and she had a letter notarized that she sent to law enforcement in the area that stated how scared she was specifically for her children's safety from the stalking and harassing from Deputy John Jones. And then, you know, he just thinks that he can spin everything. And he's like, oh, she didn't write that letter. There's words in that letter that she doesn't even know. And he thinks because he said that the letter's gone. It's like, no, she got it notarized and she sent it. And it doesn't matter if she doesn't know the meaning of some words and people helped her write it. That's completely irrelevant. What a freaking SOB. Anyway, whoever would do something like that to anybody is so freaking crazy. But to do that to a kid, this guy is such a man baby that his rival was a 12-year-old kid that he choked out, allegedly, in my humble conspiracy theory opinion. I mean, somebody choked out this 12-year-old kid in his freaking apartment. So Tandy and Nick had fake broken up so that it would take the heat off because there was just so much hassle. So they moved out from living together, but they were still seeing each other until this happened. And then probably still to this day, her and her brother will say that they think Nick did it when it's clear as day that he did not do it, in my opinion. And the fact that they're not looking for anybody else is disrespecting the judge who determined that he was not guilty. So that's why that DA got disbarred, because she kept saying derogatory things about the judge, basically throwing his decision out like garbage. And she just kept going back to Nick Hillary did it, Nick Hillary did it, Nick Hillary did it. It's like, no, it was proven in a court of law that he did not do it. It was 100% proven in a court of law. So move on. But they're not going to move on because they're not going to prosecute their friend, their buddy, who, again, I mentioned this yesterday, he probably has dirt on them. So if they were to prosecute him, he could probably throw them all under the bus. Who knows? I mean, with that arrest in San Jose and the police union official being involved basically with the card that doesn't tell, that's probably the tip of the iceberg, right? That's probably spitting in the ocean. So let's get caught up. Ahoy, Pixie Knicker, Rachel Smith, and Susan. Hey, Rusty and Kim Maron and everyone else. Hello from Iowa, Sharon Kenny. I agree, Caleb. I bet we won't hear very much else about the body that was found there. How did I miss this? LOL. I've been looking for it all morning. Good morning. Because I didn't post it, Dana. I was going to do a pre-recorded, but I love you guys so much. It's like I want to hang out with you guys. So I was going to sit down and do a pre-recorded and just kind of keep it short and sweet, talking about the Garrett Phillips, talking about the corrupt police union executive in San Jose, and talking about what's going on with the Idaho 4. So let's get into that. We got trolled on a live yesterday by Tarot Destroyer, Things Terrestrial, a real doll that's been doing it a long time. Interesting. What is Muzami? Yaslin? Is that like Swahili or something? I have no idea what that means. If you want to share. So let's see. Yeah. Hello. Let's just get caught up here. Thanks for the devil in the dorm info, Rusty. Larry Ray Cults. Ahoy, Dana Squirrel. GC, YouTube notifications suck. I only did a notification like 10 minutes before I started. So I apologize for that, you guys. I was not going to do the live. And then I was like, oh, it's just going to be a surprise live. So sorry to keep it secret. I didn't mean to do that. I felt like there was a lot of new people yesterday and you were having computer problems as well. I thought you were getting hacked yesterday. Well, that's what I think, Dana. And it's quite possible that it was just YouTube having a glitch, because YouTube has glitches. But yeah. And, what are you going to do? I mean, you can call people out, you can block people, you can report them to YouTube. But these people are telling on themselves because people are watching, people are paying attention. So keep it up. For that, we can thank them, right? Let's see. Hey, don't forget to hit that like button. And Kale, thank you everybody for being here. Thank you, Maud, for being here. So let's talk about the latest with the Idaho 4. We had that poor young man, Kaden Young, who passed away last week in Washington State. He's a University of Idaho student. He was the president of his fraternity last year, and he passed from an overdose in Centralia, Washington. And the substances were sold to him by another Idaho University of Idaho. I like to be accurate. University of Idaho student, and that is Emma Bailey. So Emma Bailey was arrested. Her partner in crime was arrested. The partner in crime is a man who's 36 years old, who seems to have ties to Pullman. So I thought that was interesting. 36 and ties to Pullman. is similar to Brent Kopaka, the guy who was shot by the SWAT team on December 15th. And then in this case of Kaden and Emma, these other two Idaho U of I students, it just is not looking good. When you look at the dates of things that have happened with Kaden and with Emma, and I have to go back and watch the videos that other content creators have made about this, like the one with Truth and Transparency. I haven't caught that. I just saw little bits of it. But yeah, things that they were doing on December 13th, you guys, this Kaden Young and Emma Bailey and Emma Bailey's partner in crime. If you look at what they were doing on December 13th, and December 13th was the day that Kohberger left Pullman. And then December 14th was the day that Kopaka went into crisis with the SWAT team. This is a small town. I cannot overemphasize how small these towns are. Pullman is tiny. The town of Pullman is tiny. The college there, the university, is big. It's about 26,000. And then the community that's not university students is way under 10,000, like somewhere around 7, 8, 9,000. It's way under 10,000. So it's a super small town. And there's just no way these things are completely unrelated. They might not be directly cause of an effect of one another, but chances are more than likely that they are, in my humble opinion. So, it makes me wonder too, with, we've talked about the substance abuse that Kohberger has in his history and how that might tie in with Kopaka. I don't know. I don't want to be pointing the finger at a decorated Army vet who lost his life to a SWAT team. But I have questions. I have questions that are legitimate, I think. Let's see. Where are we at? Okay. Sorry. It looks like something strange is going on again, you guys. It was frustrating reviewing my tape and seeing how just all the dead air time there was when I was when the thing was spazzing out, and it's kind of doing it again now. So if it does it too much, I might just have to stop with the pinning, and it seems to be doing it. So let's see. So sorry. Almost all creators are complaining. Okay. Well, the ones that are talking about this Idaho 4, that wouldn't surprise me because the lead detective in the Idaho 4 case owns a company out of Illinois that is like a top-notch IT, scrub the internet for any information that you want. It's like a reputation management company. Okay. That's owned by Brett Payne, Corporal Brett Payne, who we were told was 26, who's actually 33. So he didn't start owning that meats and locker company when he was 17 or 18. He started owning that meats and locker company in his 20s. And it's changed its name like 6 times. So it's really funny. If you guys remember how somebody was correcting me when I said meat locker, they were like, no, it's meats and locker. I was like, okay, whoa. But then looking at the history of it, it's changed its name many, many, many times. So I'm sure at one time it was the one that I said, but it's just like meets locker, and like these are just such minor details. And I do like to be precise. So again, these people just telling themselves. I came across Nicole Lambert, Reverend Donna's daughter, shares a striking resemblance to Keily Rodni. Ryan Larson is on the Brady list. Yeah. The Brady list is big. The Moscow PD has a really bad history of lack of integrity. Can't believe it, caught alive, moms AF. And there was a time, like a couple of weeks ago, where I said something about AF, and I wasn't referring to you. And in the comments, you said, I hope you weren't referring to me. And I was like, no, don't take it the wrong way. No, I love your name. Is it Moms AF, Pennsylvania style? Anyway, Lost Souls was talking about some kind of troll as well. I love that channel, Lost Souls. I think all the popular channels are under review. It's only because the information they need is coming to the YouTube. There's not them. They're just monitoring. Well, and, I don't mind some of that, but yeah, if it gets too much, there's other platforms. We don't have to put up with that crud. I used to have to do this when I was in the National Guard. Oh, you used to have to monitor these annoying true crime aficionados. These people with no hobbies and no life and just way too much time on their hands. Did you do that for the National Guard, Van Life? That's wild. When I was in the National Guard, we had a monitor Facebook. Right. A lot of police departments have that these days. Please elaborate on that, Kale says. Interesting, Van Life. Yes, we are fascinated. And Moms says, we're good, no worries. So let's see. The thing with the whitewashing, the sweeping under the rug, we've seen this with Keily Rodni's case, where there's so much factual information that gets obliterated. Like, for instance, the dash cam that the AAA guy, Nick, roadside assistance guy, had, that his employer told him not only that it didn't exist, but that he never went to Boca that day. Like, the gaslighting is just unreal. It's just unreal. So he quit his job, which was very smart. Like, why would you work for a company that's that crazy, right? Why would you work for a company that is that crazy? But there's so many things with Kylie's case, like her paperwork to be emancipated, and that this happened less than a month before her 17th birthday. Yeah, less than a month. Her birthday, I think, was September 1st, and this allegedly happened on August 6th. And then just so much effery, you guys, so much effery. So the people that do that kind of stuff, the gaslighters, want to make you think that you're crazy and question yourself. And it's so messed up. It's so messed up. Anybody with an open mind should consider the possibility that you were off course, right? In my opinion, we should all consider that we might not be accurate. So when gaslighters are trying to make you doubt yourself, and I'm not talking about self-doubt, I'm just talking about keeping an open mind that we don't have all the facts. And even if we have all the facts that are out there, those facts might be disinformation. So you guys know the definition of disinformation is when it's intentionally wrong info. Misinformation is when it's unintentionally wrong info. So Misinformation happens a lot in real life. It happens a lot on the internet. Disinformation is kind of a new wave with the internet. It's a thing, the whole fake news thing, which don't get me started. So, when we did it, it was because of human traffic. It was on Amazon and Facebook. They still monitor it, believe it or not, and they're on every channel. Well, the trafficking is so scary, and people want to question that too. Like, oh, that's crazy talk. Yeah, I wish it was crazy talk. I wish it wasn't a real thing. But it happens everywhere, and it happens, they hide in plain sight, and it's something to pay attention to. So, like, looking at the OnlyFans perspective with the Idaho 4, in the event that somebody is not 18 and they're on an OnlyFans website or in a photograph, that's a whole nother kettle of fish, right? That could blow the whole thing. That could take that company right out of business. But we all know that there's companies that specialize in that. Probably from Thailand. Companies that specialize in that, and people that get busted for it all the time. But it still happens all the time. It's nuts. I mean, these twisted freaks, like, why would they be attracted to that? Like, get some freaking therapy. All the secrets make people go down rabbit holes. I don't know what they expect to happen. Yet all the monitoring is why Google had its pudge rise. I'm not sure what that is. If that's like a typo or if that's a real word that I just am unfamiliar with. Why Google is king when it comes to search engines, all government contracts. Right, exactly. Like, Bing is really good too. And I'm sure there's others. That's probably why their ages were misrepresented early on. The ages of, I'm not sure who, Kale, probably why whose ages were misrepresented early on. Are you talking about the Payne brothers, or are you talking about some younger folks? Anyway, so yeah, getting back into the whole thing with what we're looking at right now, currently wondering who these police officers are that are under investigation internally. Idaho 4 ages were wrong. Thank you, Kale. The Idaho 4 ages, I am still not clear on. I believe that Kylie and Maddie are 21 or were 21. Will always be 21, unfortunately. And then Xana and Ethan were 20. And then the two surviving roommates, Bethany and Dylan, we were told that they were 19. And it seems like they might be 20 or 21. So I'm not 100% sure. But if we've been told the wrong ages for them, then, again, another red flag. And like I keep saying, for that, we can thank them. The more they keep pulling shenanigans like that, the more they're giving themselves away, the authorities in the situation. So keep it up. Come on, keep at it. So yeah, let's see. Law enforcement has got to focus on finding the origin of that Papa Roger account, you guys. The Papa Roger account posted about the knife sheath before any information on the knife sheath came out. So I think I got fooled that Papa Roger, that account was actually Koberger. And now I'm thinking that it's another fake, that it's not the criminal defendant that made that account. Probably none of the accounts that we saw were him, except maybe the ones from when he was a teenager that talked about the visual snow. But law enforcement has got to be getting to the root of where that Papa Roger account originated from. and who's doing that? Because to me, whoever made that account has way too much information, and it seems to me that they're trying to frame the criminal defendant. And again, people are like, oh, no one's ever framed. That's not really a thing. People get framed all the time. People get framed all the freaking time. You just don't hear about it. So, like in this state, Ohio, there was a guy this past November who won a $50 million lawsuit against the state of Ohio for being wrongfully imprisoned because a cop made falsified evidence, put his DNA where his DNA wasn't. He served over 20 years for sexual assault that he never did. And he won a $50 million lawsuit. Now, is that cop going to go to jail? Is that cop going to be, is every case that they've ever touched going to be under scrutiny? Unfortunately, probably no on both of those. The most you can usually hope for is that a law enforcement official is no longer able to serve as a law enforcement official. That they're decommissioned and they will never become recommissioned in this country. They can go to any other country and be commissioned there. So beware, right? Let's say you are recruited to start an OnlyFans page and not yet 18. Oh my goodness. Crazy, Kale. All of the profiles are going to come back with an IP address, right? They're between 21 and 22. Dylan is definitely turning 23 this year. Van Life, thank you. Yeah, when I first found out that Dylan was much older than what they were representing, I was really miffed. And then I found out that Bethany was too. Bethany, there's a lot on Facebook with like her high school graduation because she graduated from Reno High School. She played soccer there. She was a cheerleader. So she looked like maybe she could have been 19, but more likely she was probably 20 or 21. Let's see. Who Framed Roger Rabbit? That movie was like all the rage when it came out, huh? Yeah. It's something that it would be nice if it was just a bunch of conspiracy theories and it never happened in real life, wouldn't it? I've already posted their birthdays, especially Dylan's birthday. Her and Bethany were the oldest. Whoa, seriously? That's wild. Especially when you look at the age of this Emma Bailey that was just arrested for distributing the fatal concoction to Kaden Young. Because Emma Bailey's 22. So are you saying that they're 22? So maybe they're all friends? Possibly? Allegedly? Potentially? In my humble opinion? Okay. I'm not sure it's not a fact, but I believe it's Captain Rogers Linger. Let's see. I think you're talking about the Papa Roger account being the captain. Wow. The police captain of the Moscow PD. I don't get a good feeling from him, you guys. I get a worse feeling from him than I get from the police chief, who I get a really bad feeling from, like a sick feeling. Is Dylan older? Interesting. Yeah, isn't it? And then what about the photograph that she posted at 12:30 at night or 3:30 in the morning of her and Kaylee from the party the night before? What about that? What about all of the payments online for Venmo, for the sorority? I don't know what the person was, some kind of official with the sorority. There was a lot of funky stuff, you guys. A lot of funky stuff. Yes, you can look it up. Dylan is 23 this year. So, right, she's turning 23. Bethany should be also, but she turns 23 after Dylan. Wow. Well, again, especially tying in with Emma Bailey and Kaden Young. So I was talking about this small community of Pullman, and Moscow's even smaller. The town of Moscow is a little bit bigger than the town of Pullman. The university is a lot smaller. Idaho University is a lot smaller than Wazoo. It's probably around 11,000 ish. I know I've gone over all these numbers and I don't mean to bore you with it. But then the town of Moscow is bigger than the university. So maybe like 12 or 13,000. So altogether, Moscow's about 25,000. And altogether, Pullman is somewhere in like the low 30,000s. And again, these towns are 12 minutes apart, you guys. 12 minutes apart. It's a 7-mile drive. So you could probably do it in under 10 if you had to, right? They are very, very connected. These small communities, for people who haven't lived in small communities, everybody knows everybody. You know, the people at the grocery store, you know, the judge, you know, the jury. So yes, you guys, it's doing it again. Oh my goodness. So let's see, replace pinned message. So who is Dylan's boyfriend? Does he have the black lifted pickup truck? It's a good question, Mr. Centennial. I don't know. What I know about Dylan's boyfriend is that he lives in Boise and that he's says he's never been to Moscow. It's 5 hours drive from Boise to Moscow. In photographs, he looks a little gangsta, gotta say, gangsta or gangsta wannabe. Dylan's older, had a gap year before moving into the King house. Well, that's fascinating, isn't it? Wow, Rachel, I've not heard about the gap year. Not heard that at all. So Dylan's dad, was it Dylan's dad had the black truck, Mudman? I have no idea. I've never heard that. But yeah, the black truck that she's in the photographs with on her Instagram or her social media. And then there's people, maybe Einan or Enan Harsh, somebody that said that they saw a black SUV that night. Let's see. Sorry about that. Thank you, True Crime Family, for fighting for truth and justice for victims. Connection to Reno? That's interesting. Bethany is from Reno. Exactly. Reno! Oh, crazy. Absolutely crazy. And that's a bigger city. I mean, relative to Moscow and Pullman, it's a small city compared to Vegas. I mean, it's sort of considered like a mini Vegas. So everything illicit that you would find in Vegas, you're going to find in Reno too. And it's also only 20 minutes from Truckee, I think, maybe half an hour at the most. Who's behind Inside Looking, the author behind 4chan and my corgi stories? The Inside Looking is very curious because there's a lot of commonalities with that Inside Looking and Brent Kopaka. The author behind the 4chan stuff, I have not focused so much on that 4chan stuff. And I don't know if you have a typo in my corgi stories, if that's what that last word is there. Let me highlight that one. And because yeah, it looked like there was a corgi in Kaden Young's profile picture. I think that profile picture is from one of his social media accounts, and it's really cute. I used it for my thumbnail yesterday. It looks like a dark corgi, which I don't know that there are dark corgis, so I don't know if it's like half corgi and half something else. Let's see. Couldn't find DNA on the knife sheath. Don't sound good. Well, yeah, sending the knife sheath to Texas, and then you got to look at the chain of what do you call that? The chain of evidence. When police have something in evidence, it's got to stay protected as evidence. Like, I wouldn't think you'd throw it in a box and ship it in the US mail. I just wouldn't think. I would think if you're going to send it to Texas, that some official is going to have to drive or fly there with it, basically. So probably drive because, flying, you got to worry about that stuff. Um, so it's a really good point. Thank you for bringing that up. Um, I've been wanting to bring that up about the knife sheath being sent to Texas. If they put that thing in a box and sent it in the mail, that's crazy. That's not it's not how things are done. So hopefully that's not what happened. But if it is, then that's going to be more grist for the mill for the defense attorney. And, I can't say it enough. Like, I have no interest in protecting a guilty criminal defendant. I have no interest in protecting a guilty criminal defendant. Zero, none at all. Of course not. But if he's not guilty, or if he's not the only one that's guilty, then that needs to be scrutinized. It absolutely needs to be scrutinized. Maybe that's why he didn't unalive those two. They may have dangerous connections. Oh my goodness, what a wild thing to say, Moms AF. Thank you for saying it. Yeah, it's a good point. Chain of custody. Thanks, Pixie Knickers. I should know that. I'm just, I need more coffee or something. I've got water. Chain of custody, Pixie Knickers. Yes, chain of custody. So yeah, when you have evidence that's taken into evidence, that chain of custody is of the utmost importance, and rules must be followed to a T, and everything has to be documented. FBI couldn't assist Idaho with finding DNA on the sheath, Mr. Mojo Risen. I don't know. It's a good point. It's pretty wild that they had to send it halfway across the country, isn't it? I know what you mean. Dylan's dad, Brent, and cousin, Mitchell Mortensen, install burglar alarms. Well, that's interesting. That's super interesting. I thought Dylan's dad was maybe a doctor. I know Bethany's father's a dentist. So, yeah, I'm not sure if Dylan's father is a physician or if he's a contractor or what the deal is. What was that other? Yeah. Then there was that Mortensen who is the DA there in Coeur d'Alene. And we don't know that Mortensen is related to Dylan. We don't know. That would be interesting if there is a relation. That would be extremely interesting. So, all right. Roger Lanier, thank you. Transferred up from Lewiston and is lobbying to tear the house down. Roger Lanier is that captain. I think he's the captain rather than like the assistant chief. Yeah, he seems very smarmy. Worse than smarmy. I would say that the police chief is smarmy AF. Roger Lanier is just a level beyond that, in my humble opinion. Sent to startup lab in Texas. Right. And why? Why could it not be found in the Idaho lab? And why could it not be found in a lab closer than Texas? That's very suspicious, in my opinion. So let's see, was there anything else to discuss before we wrap up for today? The Officer Gunderson, that is potentially one of the police officers that is under an internal investigation for his use of excessive force with the Wilson boys. Those Wilson boys are the son of, like, what, the pastor for the Church of Christ or something. Is that right? There's a big lawsuit right now. So that could be what is being referenced in the paperwork that came out a couple of days ago. So yeah, it's important, I think, to not just focus on these individuals that are questionable. Of course, we need to focus on them, but what we really need to focus on is how this can keep happening, how our system is broken, that these crooked officials can get into these positions and maintain these positions, you guys. That's what needs to be addressed, in my humble opinion. Let's see. St. Andrew's College, Church Christ, Logos School, 10%. Digging the jewelry, Zena. Oh, I've got the, what are these? Purple garnet earrings. And then I've got, there is a blue aquamarine. And then what is this piece of metal? Titanium, niobium, titanium. So this metal that's like purple and blue, that's what's used in surgeries. Like if you have a pin put in your hip or your leg or whatever, titanium is the least hypoallergenic metal that there is. And when you fire it, it turns all different colors. So it can be any color in the rainbow, including black. I don't think it can be white, but it can be a kind of a light gray. So yeah, titanium is the coolest stuff. It's also super strong. So thanks for mentioning my jewelry. I think I made the necklace, and I think my mommy made the earrings, but I might have made the earrings. One of us made them like 30 or 40 years ago, so I forget. We made similar things to each other's, and we copied each other sometimes. Let's see. Into gap years, Tyler Moyer and Jesus Delgado. Reno is so close to all you can see sparks. Rachel, I'm really glad I saw your comment before wrapping up. Yeah, it's nasty. I've told you guys I've been to Tahoe, I don't know, half a dozen or a dozen times, probably closer to a dozen. Never been to Reno. I think I've seen it from the freeway and I'm just like, yeah, no, thank you. It's not a safe place, right? I'm convinced there's a portal at the top of the mountain at the Lost Trail Lodge. Not even kidding. Well, there's got to be a portal in Reno too, right? My ex took up with a dancer from Sparks. Oh, Reno is so close to hell you can see Sparks. Okay. You guys. So Sparks is another town. Like I was thinking it was just like Sparks from the fire, but Sparks, Nevada, I'm thinking. Maybe I've heard of that. Hey, Lisa Castillo. So happy I'm seeing you live. I totally dig your show. Well, thank you. I'm getting ready to sign off. It's getting close to an hour. No typo. It was the username who said they would save their spit. Hannah Clear Implications. Okay. Yeah, I know Hannah Clear is the one that allegedly unalived herself about a year ago. The one that they said was Maddie's old roommate and that Maddie bullied. And I don't know what to believe with any of that. But I know that there's a lot of suspicion around her life being lost. The Lost Trail Lodge is the key. You guys, I mean, I have 4 kids, and I would not raise my kids like in Antarctica. I would not raise my kids in a place where you had 50 feet of snow for some part of the winter and that you were just covered in snow for 5 or 6 months and where you couldn't get to a grocery store for weeks at a time. I just wouldn't raise kids in a place like that. I'd say it's inhospitable, and that sure, I don't necessarily want to judge a parent who is going to raise their kid in an inhospitable environment like that. And a lot of people do for various reasons, that's just where they're from. And you bloom where you're planted, right? But there's not a lot of kids that are raised in the Tahoe area. And this is why. It's inhospitable. It's dangerous. People get lost and missing and deceased in avalanches every year. So every year around this time, when all the snow melts, then they'll find the rest of them that they haven't found yet. I mean, it's nuts. It is absolutely nuts. So yeah, that Lost Trail Lodge, when we first heard about this case, and it's like, oh, how cool. It's like this remote place where you can rough it, but in luxury, right? And it sounds really cool for grown-ups that want to rough it in luxury, but for little kids to grow up like that. And then, Kylie's little brother was born into that. She was 7 when she moved in there. I think he was born when she was around 8, maybe 9. But imagine how much work Kylie had to do as a little kid. Imagine how much work she had to do helping out with her little brother, helping out with the lodge, helping out with the guests. And, I'm not even talking about like really disgusting stuff that there's been speculation about. I'm just talking about cooking and cleaning. I mean, shoveling snow. It's just nonstop. I mean, that's hard stuff for grown-ups. But Kylie, she was not a happy child. You can see it in her pictures. She was suffering from either the isolation, maybe more than just the isolation. I thought she meant Sparks from Hell. Yeah, me too. I think she did. I was just interjecting. No, it's a local joke. I had a baby born in Reno. Okay, cute, Rachel. Very cute. Yeah. I had 3 of my kids born in Seattle and then 1 born here in Ohio. Sparks is north of Reno. Thank you. Buried in snow. Exactly. Exactly. I'll get it in a minute. Same. Feels like secret compartments need to be destroyed. What is the rush? Oblige says security fees, but they are rush with cash now. Annie Ruler. Oh my God. I'm so happy you're back. I am so sorry you got blocked. That was totally not intentional at all. And I think it happened when Kale was doing the mani pedicure and accidentally deleted your messages or your chat. And then without even knowing, it wasn't until I finally learned how to unblock people last night that I saw that you were in there. Because I thought maybe you just got offended that your comments got deleted and that I had no idea. So I'm so sorry. Thank you for coming back. That's awesome. Good to see you. Excellent to see you. 72 watching and only 35 likes so far. If we could just get 36, that would be half, right? Please remember to like the live. So you guys, thank you so much, especially those of you that were blocked that came back. So my apologies. Will never happen again. Hopefully. If it does, at least now I know how to take care of it. So anybody who is blocked or knows somebody who's blocked, send me an email. Kale, do you want to drop my email? justiceatooz@gmail.com. And Kale apologizes. Yeah, we were like, that was really stressful. I'm like, Kale, don't be getting no mani-pedi while you're doing this. Oh, living in the lap of luxury, right? I mean, who doesn't want a mani-pedi? That's like a mini vacay, in my opinion. So thank you, Kale. justiceatooz@gmail.com. So yes, please send me an email if you know somebody who has been blocked that probably shouldn't be, or that wants to request being unblocked. I'm all about second chances, and sometimes people get blocked inadvertently, obviously, because we had that happen with Annie and a couple of others. So you guys, I'm going to sign off. Hit that like button. please, if you'd be so kind, and share and subscribe. And I will definitely be seeing you over the weekend. We are all going to get caught up on our sleep, right? And we are going to get caught up on our water and our exercise and our awesome nutrition and our time to ourselves, time to our families, time to be social. Just take really good care of yourself. And what I was saying yesterday, I want to say again, do what inspires you. Surround yourself with people that inspire you. Surround yourself with inspiration. You know, some of us get inspired by sewing or crochet or needlepoint or music or skateboarding or biking or skiing, snowboarding, whatever it is, whatever inspires you, fill your life with inspiration. It's so important. Oh, Annie Ruler, I am so sorry. How can we make it up to you? I was bummed too. I was bummed when one of your comments got deleted, and then I was really bummed when another one got deleted. And then when I saw your name on that list last night, I was like, oh crap. So my deepest, most sincere apologies. Gardening. Thank you, Kale. That's one I meant to throw in there too. So yes, it's gardening season. Absolutely. And, you know, just chilling. Like sometimes being a couch potato is the greatest thing in the world, right? And sometimes it's not. It just all depends. Sleep and water. What are those things? Joke. I'm trying. Yes, yes, absolutely. It's you can hardly have too much of either. You actually can have too much of either, but it's pretty hard to do. Fry said he gets anything he wants. He billed for therapists. He wants the house destroyed. Thank you for bringing up that topic again, Rachel. I was starting to talk about that and then got sidetracked. The thing about saving money on security is absurd. It's absolutely absurd. The Moscow PD was gifted or granted $1 million of federal funds to deal with this case, and they can get more grants and more funding. The amount that it costs to keep that evidence safe is worth every penny, no matter what. I mean, if they destroy it, I hope that the U.S. Marshals will nail them for that. Absolutely. It wasn't me, it was Nico. Oh, thanks, Kale. Sorry to throw you under the bus. All right, you guys, peace out. Have a really good rest of your Friday. I'll definitely see you over the weekend. Heather Feather says, you're so sweet. Thank you for your positive motivation and the time you invest in your channel. Well, I love you guys, sending you light, sending you love. And I also love all the lights that I have going on over here. So I've got some new things I added that I'm blocking. Let's see, this cute little picture right here. Can you see that? It's like a window. Kind of looks like a door because it's got like shutters that are open. And then this shelf with 3 Jupiter candles. Where are they? From Coldwater Creek? They're fancy. Or maybe they were from Sundance. One of those. Anyway, they were super fancy. I got them on sale. They look like Jupiter. I'll show you up close. But if I try to grab it now, I might knock some stuff over. Can you see that? There's 3 of them, and they are almost like Saturn, but they're Jupiter. Is that so cool? So I got this cute little shelf. I don't know how I'll integrate them in. I like to go with the less is more, but I know you guys don't care about my home decor obsession, right? All right, you guys. Signing off for realsies this time. They got 1 million federal and 1 million from state. Thank you, Mr. Mojo Horizon. So 2 million. That's double your money. Pixie Knickers. It takes a very self-reliant, hearty soul. You got to bear up. Yeah, I've been off and on my chat. My bad. Got to go back and watch. Always late over here. Have a beautiful weekend. Have a lovely rest of your day, you guys. And we will see you soon. Thank you so much for joining me. And see you on the next one.